this program. This is a national emergency. Important instructions will follow.
Did that scare y'all? Welcome back. It's Vanessa Mumar.
And Adam Kafaga.
And we're back with the Moo Court podcast. So today we're going to be looking at the most scariest channels on YouTube with the genre analog horror. Now, something that we actually found out I found out through the channel Nexpo is analog horror is something that a lot of people have but don't realize they have. So, Adam, you ever be scared of when you're waking up and then all of a sudden you just hear the emergency alert system go off?
Yeah, especially with the weather ones. All the hurricanes over the summer.
And that is exactly what you hear right with our intro. So sorry if we scared y'all. But something about that is it's an actual genre of horror and a lot of people don't know about it. They'll be like, oh, I'm scared of this, but we don't know what that actually fits into. So we're going to look at that. And the YouTube links for Local 58 will actually be down below. So if you guys want to check out their channel.
Or Nexpo.
Or Nexpo. And Nexpo makes the hottest documentaries on these. He should really collab with us, but.
If you hear this.
So we're going to be going into it. Now, Local 58 actually has a pretty large subscriber count. So their views honestly average from around 1 to 2 million, but they have around currently 450,000 subscribers, and we actually are not subscribed, and we really should. We really should be subscribed.
Since they just posted 3 days ago.
Exactly, as we speak. And they haven't posted in 2 years.
I know.
So honestly, we just want to know what it is. Because typically about their videos is that they're actually all connected.
They are.
They're all terrifying. They're all connected in some way.
And I heard the most recent one really set up the timeline.
So we're actually going to go into the 3 most viewed. So in a way, they are connected, but we're not going to be going through all their videos, even though we wish so, because that would be so interesting. But
we'd be here for an hour.
Exactly. And we are literally we literally watched all these 3 videos in this dark room, and it's we're hungry, it's dark in here, but let's get into it. So our first video is gonna be about contingency. Now, what is contingency? So when do you actually when would you hear that word contingency? What do you
I don't know, English class? I don't
English
know
class? Okay. So actually I didn't know what contingency was before I actually read the title contingency, because that's the most high school thing that's a big grown word, and I just didn't know what that meant. So, contingency, when we saw the video, was pretty much any type of case of emergency. So, when we go through the video, the first thing you'll be greeted with is just a regular, channel. Adam, when you're, really young, you want to stay up to watch, the best shows. The best shows were, always at night. Then you're about to fall asleep on the couch, and all of a sudden, you're like, oh my god, a show's about to come on. You never knew what it was. And so, what would happen was it would show the display of channels that are going to come up, and all of a sudden, bam, there's another alert system, and you never see it. And 5-year-old you is just what's going on? What's going on? Where are my parents?
Yeah.
And so something interesting about it was all of a sudden all you hear is Star Spangled Banner, America the Great, some very patriotic song, and you're just standing oh, I know this song. I always sing it in chorus class, in music class, But then it just gets twisted, and that's how you know, you just experience some type of trauma, because it is just eerie.
It's mad creepy.
It's eerie, exactly. And it's just so scary. And I feel just now, when you really think about what it's really saying, which it took me a while to actually, comprehend what it was trying to say.
Yeah.
But something interesting to... Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, because it was, the way it was formatted, it was really retro, and part of me almost feels like it was real.
Exactly.
It could have been real.
Yes. And that's what's so scary about analog horror, is because, especially with what we just introduced with you guys, the alert system, we still hear that today in TVs very rarely, and they're always in the worst times too. We always hear them, and when you watch the video, it gives you that type of sense. This is real, this is really happening, what they're trying to say. And something that it shows is there is an alert of emergency. America's going through something. Supposedly we lost a war. And a date we actually want to mention is November 13th of 1970. So me and Adam actually did a lot of research on this. And this pretty much was during the Cold War times. assumingly that Soviet
Yes.
Unions.
Yeah.
Then Adam also said aliens.
Oh, yeah, because Nexpo, who did like a 50-minute video
Mm-hmm.
on everything about Local 58, said that a popular theory on Reddit was that it was basically aliens trying to brainwash
Mm-hmm.
people with this local broadcast.
Yes. And something about it too, it was all by during this president of the time. It was really weird to see like what president would correlate to this, because this is like a government broadcast. So we actually saw it was signed by Lyndon B. Johnson. And before we even get to that, let's talk about what was really eerie about it. So what was super eerie about it was the fact that it was pretty much telling you
To sacrifice
sacrifice yourself
in the name of America.
in the name of America. Take America with you. Show you're a true patriot. And, you know, it's terrifying how patriotic people in
Yeah.
America can really be. And that's us saying it as we're not immigrants. We're immigrants, so we're never going to do that. If a TV screen ever popped up with that, we would just be like, this is crazy. And, you know what's really eerie? What does it say? This message will continue until no one will no longer see it, or something like that. You know what I mean? And that's just very eerie. So, if on top of that, with the very patriotic song of the very crooked, scary sounding Star Spangled Banner in the back, then you got a message saying that America has been invaded.
It was invaded.
It was
yeah.
invaded, and now America's saying you essentially have to
Kill yourself.
kill yourself
To preserve, like,
to preserve
our name.
the name of America. And then you know what? Something else is eerie. Tend to your loved ones and your pets and your infants before yourself.
Yeah, they called, like, the pets and the
Mm-hmm.
babies, like, the youngest patriots, which was sick.
It shows a little drawing of a child, and it wasn't morbid, but it was essentially saying that you have to tend to your loved ones, if you already know what we mean.
Yeah, and if
before
you have a
tend to yourself.
firearm, it was
And let's-
preferred.
And it's instructing you how to
Yeah, you have to put the
the
muzzle
in the gun in your mouth.
in your mouth.
And it's just, and what actually interested me a lot, like, Adam, what did you think about that victory position they were talking about?
Oh, when it was the 3 F's, which
Mm-hmm.
is face up. This is if you had time,
Mm-hmm.
because they wanted you to do this like as soon as possible. But if you had time,
Mm-hmm.
they wanted you face up, feet together, out on your front lawn. I think.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, when we actually talk about the weather service, that the next video we're actually talking about, the weather service that we actually chose was called Weather Service. And it is actually, I'm assuming, we're looking at the computer screen right
Yeah.
now. It is the second most viewed on the channel. And Contingency was actually the first most viewed. So, Weather Service... And it's actually, me and Adam were actually thinking, like, this kind of really relates to that movie from Netflix with Sandra Bullock and...
Oh yeah, Bird Box,
yes,
right?
Yes. Because she had 2 kids named Boy and Girl. You couldn't look at the moon at all.
Mm-hmm.
And something about the Weather Service was saying it actually begun with the emergency alert system audio. You know, and you're like, oh my god, it's probably like an tornado warning. No, it's pretty much saying, don't look outside, don't look at the moon, lock your windows, stay away from the windows.
But it also contradicts each other because
Mm-hmm.
like there's ones that are like, yes, go outside, yes, look at the moon.
And that's when we thought they must be invaded by the enemy. There could be some type of hackers.
Or I heard on Nexpo that he thought it was an employee
Mm-hmm.
at Local 58 that was trying to like get the word out
Mm-hmm.
that like don't listen to them.
Mm-hmm. Because you're all of a sudden you have the screen saying, I'm warning you, don't look out at the moon, don't look at the moon. But then all of a sudden people are like, oh no, look at the moon, look at it, look at the moon. And which, if I was in that situation, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't.
I wouldn't do it.
Exactly.
'Cause that-
It wouldn't really harm me if I didn't look at the moon. Like, what's gonna happen if I don't look at the moon? I don't get
Yeah.
$1 million. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's kind of like very scary, but in realistic terms, I feel like I would.
I mean, yeah, like because I know like this is mostly like sort of fiction,
But the thing about it is fiction, but
it's based off like
it's
real events.
terrifying to know that with our age now with technology and how children are actually grown up, but you know,
Yeah.
they usually be watching iPads and all of that now. But, you know, within our age, I'm typically like Gen Z or old Gen Z,
Mm-hmm.
towards maybe millennial age, you would be waking up with on the couch watching that, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, look at the moon. And then it actually says some quotes that we have written down. It says, do not observe the naked eye. And so that's when we thought they must have been hacked, because all of a sudden there were claims saying, no, it's safe to go outside. Go look at them. It's not even saying it's safe to go outside. It's telling you like, oh, you should go out, look outside in the moon, which is like, I get the moon's really pretty, but it ain't that pretty. You know what I mean? So then they refer to the moon as him.
Yeah.
Who is him? And that's when you start thinking, you know, him. Who is him? Are they referring the moon to as a god or...
Yeah, and I'm not going to get too much into this, but there is a separate broadcasting we're not going to really get into because timing. But it talks about how the moon is, like, living. Mm-hmm. Like, it zooms up on it, and it almost looks like you see, like, the cells of, like... No, how do you say that?
Okay.
No, keep it rolling. Keep it rolling.
Oh, my God.
Hold on. Like when you zoom up so close to something, and you see like all the parts of the cell, and it looks like the moon. Mm-hmm. So I think they're referring to the moon as like a living person.
A living person. I always thought the moon was like blue cheese growing up. But, you know, it's terrifying to know that, like, the moon, is it our friend? It's a living rock in the sky, supposedly, because you never know if science lies to us. We're still vaccinated, though. But
we'll get vaccinated, by the way.
So it's really like terrifying to know that, to like theoretically think, what if right now everything we see, all of social media is actually manipulating us? And that's when we get back to our main question: how does Local 58 manipulate their audience? Yeah. And the reason that made me text Adam right away, like, you have to watch this, is because, well, he knows I love horror. He knows I love scary stuff that's potentially nonfiction. Because you never know, like, something like this, if they really tried, could happen.
Yeah, like, I wonder if it's happening in modern times and we don't notice it. Because this is, like, very, like, retro. It's, like, from the 1900s. And, like, this could be happening right now in, like, current time. But we wouldn't know how.
We wouldn't know. And with that, you really have to take in consideration of how manipulative is everything surrounding us right now.
Yeah, especially like the media.
Social media. And I do say Local 58 is very outdated in terms of now, which is kind of terrifying because the first videos were literally released like 4 years ago. And during that time, we probably were still kind of maybe watching TV. Yeah. And I know for a fact, kids probably still watch TV.
Like cable and stuff. Yeah.
And, you know, it's kind of terrifying to think that when we were little kids, I used to have, like, the DVDs, you know,
when
the
you used
cassettes.
to have to, like, record something.
Yeah, and you'd have to plug in the DVDs. Now we have Netflix, Hulu. So I guess the possibilities of this actually happening right now is slim. But it's terrifying to believe that there was once a time in our history where this was very possible and people could have done it. And you have to believe that. I want to go back to the contingency. 1970s patriotic America, very different from what we have now that our eyes are a lot open, especially with the movements going on and stuff. So, you know, just the way that this channel that we see so far is just so manipulative, it makes you think, who is him? Why can't we look at the moon? What is happening? You're telling me not to look at the moon. You're telling me to look at the moon.
And that's just from one video.
Exactly. And the fact that they make it so believable. And now you don't know what to do. You're like in the sandy, like, oh my God, what happens? Will I die if I don't look at the moon? Will I die if I look at the moon? Like, if I don't look at the moon, you know? It's just a series of events that, you know. Yeah,
I wonder if they're gonna keep posting, because the most recent one was 3 days ago, and it's titled Digital Transition.
Yes. As of November 4th, 2021.
Yeah.
And me and Adam actually watched it, and did we get anything out of it? Not really. We just know Local 58 has evolved. But
I wonder if they're gonna keep posting and how they're gonna incorporate it into a more modern time.
From what we've seen with the channel history right now, they do average about 2 to 3 videos every year. We're looking at it right now. It's kind of rare.
They didn't post last year, though.
But we are actually going to look at a more recent one, which is called Real Sleep. And I think genuinely sleep is a terrifying concept. I don't know about
It
you,
is,
Adam.
especially with something like, there's stuff like sleep paralysis,
Mm-hmm.
when it's, what is it, when your like body falls asleep but your mind is still awake.
Yes, when your body and mind are just not a balance. They are a different shape. They're a different state right now.
And then you have that feeling of like when you fall off the bed but you're not really falling.
Exactly. Have you ever had sleep paralysis, Adam?
Yeah, I get it.
Have you?
Very often.
I actually have never gotten it.
What?
Yes. And, well, I guess you could say that I've never had, like, the legit sleep paralysis, and I quote-unquote say legit very softly because I know people have, like, immense, like,
Yeah.
traumatic experiences with sleep paralysis where it's literally, like, you can't move and you see some horrific figure in the
Yeah,
corner
I used to
of your
get that
bedroom.
a lot when I was like younger.
Really?
I can't believe you've never gotten
I
that
have never
at
gotten sleep
all.
paralysis. Hopefully, knock on wood, I never get sleep paralysis. But the closest I've actually ever gone to sleep paralysis was one time I was laying in bed. I'm pretty sure I was still doing homework, and I just fell asleep in the midst of doing it. And I was like in a fetal position, which is weird because I usually never sleep in fetal. I'm a very strict side sleeper. Are you a strict side sleeper?
Yeah, I have my leg up.
And the reason why, actually, I stopped sleeping on my back is because I have a fear of getting sleep paralysis. And they said that you're more tend to get it if you sleep on your back. So, I was in a fetal position. I fell asleep. And then I was aware that I was still awake. But for some reason, like, I didn't necessarily feel paralyzed. It's just that for some reason, when I tried to move my body, I just couldn't do it. And every time, my eyes were still closed. They're still closed shut. But then I had to, like, manipulate my mind. I was like, oh, my God, I know what's happening. I'm about to get it. I'm about to get sleep paralysis. And all I see whenever I close my eyes is just, like, this white, scary lady. You know, like that movie, The Conjuring?
Yeah.
Or The Grudge. I forgot. The one where the little girl, like, pops out of the TV screen.
They're all the same.
Yes. So, it was kind of like that. I told my mom about that next morning, and she was like, you want to go see a therapist? But we're not going to get to that.
Oh my
Let's talk about Real Sleep by Local 58. So, right away, when you're Real Sleep, the video pretty much talks about, or begins with saying, have you experienced any sleep, yada yada, and it's pretty much just a very informational video. It looks like an informational video that you'd
at the
watch.
start. I think it's split up into different sections.
So there was something called like the Keyline map or something like that. Different sections, and pretty much through it, it's saying how sleep is very important in your. Dreams are very important in your sleep routine.
Yeah.
Do you dream a lot, Adam?
I haven't dreamed in a while. I miss dreaming.
Always dream, but I never remember the good ones.
I wonder what you dream about.
Oh my God, we're not even gonna get into that. So, Real Sleep now discusses about pretty much sleep health.
At the start.
Yes. So, and it asks you myth or fact. For example, sleep. Repairs your DNA. That's a fact.
Yeah.
It's healthy for your body to function. That's a fact. You typically need 8 hours of sleep for at least a regular person every day. That is a fact. One that kinda did not sit right with me was dreams contain symbolism that can predict the future. What do you think about that?
I mean, I agree, because don't you ever get like deja vu or stuff like that?
Okay. Well, dreams, I feel like when I'm, like when you're like overly excited for the next day.
Yeah.
My dream will typically be something of like what happens throughout the next day, but in a bad way. And for I don't know, I feel like it really plays with anxiety because, anxiety prevents you from making bad decisions for the most part. But for example, let's say like, oh, I'm going somewhere the next day. And then the previous night I will dream about how that the day was so bad, like.
So you have to be wary of your decisions.
Yes, it makes me very wary. Which I'm honestly kind of grateful for. It is something to be grateful for. But pretty much what this saying is, dreams contain symbolism, and it says that it is a fact, or as it claims it is a fact. So, that could be arguable. The sleep studies are very, very minimal to this day, because sleep is extremely hard to study on.
Because they need to put need to put like sensors in your brain and stuff to really study it.
Just like you measuring intellect, we have IQ tests, but what do we really know about that?
Yeah, because that's also like, what is intelligence?
What is intelligence? Can we really measure intelligence just by pure numbers? We were actually talking. Yeah, we were actually talking about this in stats class. So there you go, Ms. Rice, if you're watching. So Now, here's a twist about this. Suddenly, it says, it shows you a series of faces. Now, we're not typically saying, like, facial expressions of someone random. It's more like patterns and outlines of a certain shape that depict the face. So, you know, I feel like you have to watch the videos in order to know what I'm really talking about.
We really recommend you watch it and then come back
Don't watch
and
it at
listen
night.
to us.
Don't watch it at night.
Yeah,
if you
because
do watch
apparently
it at night,
Vanessa can't go to the bathroom when she watches
it's very
it at
true.
night.
It's very true. I've seen these videos multiple times, and I still have to, like, bring my little sister with me to the bathroom. Like, it's scary. So, suddenly, it's talking all these good things about dreaming, why you should dream, why sleep's important. As we already know, then all of a sudden, it repeats, there are no faces. When there's clearly faces on the screen that show patterns of facial expressions. So it tells you, repeat, there are no faces, there are no faces, there are no faces.
It's really weird because this is like a clear form of manipulation.
Exactly.
And I'm just thinking, like, who would fall for this?
Who would fall for this? But it's typically scary because I feel like in past life, people would have worked. It would have worked.
It would have worked.
People would have very, very much so.
Yeah, them country folks.
Them country
folks.
Because
I know, wait, no, because I know, like, this Local 58 is, like, in Virginia, right? It takes place in Virginia.
Really?
It's like a small town in Virginia.
Really?
So that would make sense. You know, Virginians, yeah.
And you have to also know, I feel like they're also probably the most patriotic. Because we already know up in here in the Northeast is very different. And, you know, that takes place. What about modern medicine? How do we know? Unless you are actually like a doctor, a physician, a biologist.
There could be a cure for cancer.
We don't know. And I honestly am convinced that there probably is. There are very smart people in this world. And you know what? You know why they don't give it out? Money. Yeah. Money.
Well, capitalism.
Capitalism.
Oh, we're off topic.
Yeah, I digress. So that's what, as we say, this is terrifying because now it has certain messages that say sleep. There's also something about when we sleep, we die.
Yeah.
When we sleep, which is honestly that really got me eeried out because
they're really trying to keep you awake.
Yes. And you know, when you sleep and you just wake up, you're just like, what happened during that night? You know? And I feel like sleep is what we have that's very close to not being dead, but being unconscious, I guess you could say, and you never know what's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
Sleep is just that. That's why it's so interesting. Sleep is very interesting.
They really need to study it more because,
we should major in, like, neuroscience, Adam. Like, you know? And there's also sleep is pretend.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much trying to say you don't need sleep.
Yeah, so how did they say that again? Like, they had, like, a bunch of, like, flickering messages, right? Yes,
very quick flickering messages, and we weren't about to write every single one, but
it said stuff like,
sleep is pretend.
Sleep is pretend.
You know, there's you owe your messenger.
You owe your messenger.
And
that's
again,
the one that really haunted me.
Yes. Who is him? Who is him? Him is the moon. As we talked about weather service, him is the moon. Is he up there? Is it something relating to God? We don't know.
Is it aliens?
Now, aliens was actually one that people were actually talking about, which is very popular because we have aliens, I guess, trying to use media to tell us, hey, you get out. Or weather service where it's like, obey the moon.
I just thought about that. Like, what if, like, this is like a test trial? The aliens are test trying in some small town in Virginia, and then they're going to take it national. And then global.
Right.
And then, who knows, what if I'm an alien?
You don't know. Oh my god, stop. We're in this, like, dark room right now. We cannot. Okay, so real sleep really just talks about how you don't need sleep.
Yeah.
So real sleep talks about you don't need sleep. Weather service is trying to tell you that don't look at the moon or don't look at the moon. Look at the moon. And apparently people were screaming in the background. So I guess, like, you'll grow insane if you look at the moon.
Yeah.
Contingency is manipulating you to say, hey, you're a patriot of America.
Yeah. Basically, follow
we got
orders.
Invaded. If you're really a true patriot and yourself and your loved ones. So when we looked at that, we kind of go into play. This is pure manipulation. They're manipulating their audience into doing something very morbid.
But why?
Why did they do it? What is behind it? Who was trying to do that? And we really looked into past events of history of, you know, what could have this been a symbol of? I truly believe it is a symbol of some type of past crime, you know, throughout when I feel like technology was, even with TVs is a thing, because
Yeah.
I actually don't know when the emergency system alert came out. Probably in the 1900s, presumably.
I mean, we looked up the actual sound
Mm-hmm.
for the intro, and it said something about a nuclear bomb. So
it could have been.
They play it for that too.
And guess what? 1970, as we talked about,
Yeah.
contingency was about the nuclear
And
bomb.
do you remember when there was like a false, like they said the missile was gonna hit
Oh
Hawaii?
my god! Yeah.
And that was terrifying because they
Yes.
all got the alert on their phone
Yes.
that they were gonna be hit by
Yes.
was it North Korea or something?
I guess. Yeah. We don't know history like that, but and that's the thing about contingency in all of these. It's that it's contradicting. That means there must be some foreign invader trying to attack. I am presuming America.
Yeah.
Because contingency is saying, hey, this is just a hoax. Don't actually do what the instructions say. And I don't actually think I mentioned that. But it did talk about tend to your loved ones. I don't want to say, they're pretty much aiding you. Assistive suicide. I think it's that's, yep. Right?
Basically.
So I think there's another term for that.
And then
but
they try to say it was a hoax.
try to say it was a hoax. But then
They do that
by
a
the
lot.
time half the population of America's gone
Yeah.
because of that one broadcasting system. And you have to realize that the internet and, broadcasting the radio was very, very manipulative back then because that was the very, upgraded piece of technology they
and
had.
that's terrifying
That's
because
very
this could have
terrifying.
actually worked
This-
because
yes.
now we confront fake media a lot
Mm-hmm.
and fake news and stuff. But back then they didn't have those outlets and
Right.
technology to be like, yo, this is fake.
Exactly. And the patriotism that they had back then in America, very, very up there.
Yeah.
Weather service, I feel like kind of is ridiculous. I remember
Mm-hmm.
showing Adam this, and he was like, "Vanessa, what is this Bird Box 2.0? Like, this is."
Yeah, it's funny because ever since she showed me that on
Mm-hmm.
Snapchat, I have a moon emoji next to her name, and it's
Right.
never went away.
Right.
'Cause-
And
Yeah.
as far as I know, I look at the moon all the time. But what if whenever you look at the moon, there is something that goes on in your head psychologically,
yeah.
but you just don't know it because it's so subtle. You don't know.
The aliens.
Stop. That's scary. And I think I'm gonna be looking down every time I walk home at night, which I never do. Don't do that. So real sleep, I feel like obviously we all need sleep, but then I know some people are pretty much convinced that you don't
Yeah.
need sleep, especially video gamers. I remember playing World of Warcraft at night up to 10 in the morning to 5 in the morning the next
Yeah.
day, 16 hours straight. So
But if we really think about, oh my god, that scared me. But if we really think about sleep,
Mm-hmm.
when someone doesn't get sleep, they're most vulnerable.
they're insane.
Yeah,
They're insane.
So they're easier to manipulate.
I've heard people. That's very true.
Yeah.
I actually did not think about that. So here lies the question. Local 58 is very manipulative, and it really goes to say how us as a people, how are we manipulated in real life?
Yeah.
And how subtle is it? How simple it is? And I feel like we're all manipulative in some way, or we're all manipulated.
Some
in
more
some
than
way.
others.
Some more than others.
Oh.
I digress one more time, but that's just really what it is, and I
Yeah.
feel like it's just so shocking. Like, this really opened up my eyes to this is why I think twice about what I read online now.
Yeah.
This is why don't give in to peer pressure. Don't believe everything you said, especially with the vaccines going on. People
Yeah.
are so tied
And-
in with this.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
In modern times, there's a lot of Facebook false info about the vaccine.
Right.
That's preventing people from getting it.
Right. Of course, vaccines is based on whatever pure belief.
Yeah.
I mean, Adam will get vaccinated. Booster
Yep.
shots coming on the way. But, it's a good example.
Yeah, it
so
is
we
a good
wanna
example
know, what do you
in
guys
modern
think?
times.
If you
Yeah.
look at 58, Local 58, look at the channel, subscribe to them because this
Yeah.
piece of media is awesome. It really gets
You
you
should
going.
stay tuned if they post
Yes,
more. Update
yes,
us.
Yes, we will keep posting. So we want to know, what do y'all think about this?
Yeah, leave your theories, leave your
theories,
comments.
Leave your comments, and
Don't forget to copy, share, link.
right. So yeah, Moo Moo Corp out.
Yep.